I was watching David Cronenberg's eXistenZ, and I wondered, what the heck is happening here with the acting and the writing? Why does this film feel so low budget, like a porno? I think it's a combination of two elements. Number one, a physical acting behavior style, and two, on-the-nose dialogue. So join me as I examine both of those elements in this week's Analytical Filmmaking Analysis of the Week. By the way, this is a segment from The Carl King Show. If you enjoy this video, remember to like and subscribe and send us burritos. This week's Analytical Filmmaking Analysis of the Week is eXistenZ, written and directed by David Cronenberg. eXistenZ was released on April 19th, 1999, and spoiler alert, it's a film about nested virtual reality. There are people inside a video game playing a video game, but it turns out that even that was all inside of another video game. So it's video games all the way down. Coincidentally, eXistenZ came out only about 2.5 weeks after The Matrix. The film starts with 3.5 minutes of abstract Type 2 opening titles, and then we get the extreme opposite, an opening scene containing heavy Type 1 exposition. A guy is up on a stage introducing a new game called eXistenZ. And here's a narrative device. Cronenberg uses the audience in the film as the proxy for the audience watching the film. And that's an efficient method of delivering information to the viewer. The guy tells us who the main characters are, what the film is about, and how eXistenZ works. And to drill that information into our heads, not only is the word eXistenZ printed on promotional banners, the guy writes it on a chalkboard, and he even tells us how to spell it, which letters are capitalized. But there's no reason he would need to do that for an actual audience, and that's the first implausibility. In the commentary track, David Cronenberg called this opening scene anti-cinematic, which I think is a valuable concept. And I wonder if he meant anti-cinematic as having a different meaning from non-cinematic, sort of like Nassim Nicholas Taleb's term anti-fragile. Jude Law also serves as a stand-in for the viewer. We go through the entire eXistenZ initiation process with him as he is introduced to the game. He's a total outsider to this world because he doesn't have a bioport. And that's convenient because much of the film is Jennifer Jason Leigh explaining things to him. So it's a lot of factual statements rather than humans relating to each other. And that's very Type 1. After that first scene, alarms went off in my mind, and I began to wonder, what the heck is happening here with the acting and writing? Why does this film feel so low budget, like a porno? Well, I think it's a combination of two elements. Number one, a physical acting behaviors style, and two, on-the-nose dialogue. So regarding the first element, when I say physical acting behaviors, I mean it's a type of acting that is external. It isn't rooted in genuine human behavior and doesn't flow out of action and reaction with the other actors in the scene, rather than the actor embodying and believing their character. It's more like doing acting things or acting like an actor instead of being a human. I'm tempted to call that Type 1 acting. It's the sort of thing you would see in 80s TV shows like, say these words and look like you're mad. Now, I'm not familiar enough with Jennifer Jason Leigh's filmography and what else might have contributed to this, but making a film is hard, and I don't know what was going on that day. There could have been any number of technical issues. Maybe there were better takes, but the shots were out of focus. Everything that is not the acting can conspire to affect the acting. We don't know. But we do know that she's an accomplished professional with decades of experience, and she's even a nominee for multiple Golden Globes. But still, her performance in several scenes didn't seem to be based on organic causality. Her facial expressions and reactions appeared conspicuous and abrupt and disconnected. And regarding the second element, the on-the-nose Type 1 dialogue, that's when characters make literal, descriptive statements that don't need to be said. Type 1 movies and TV shows are full of talking that could be saved for audio description tracks. Since film is, first and foremost, a visual medium, we don't need the characters telling us what we already see on the screen. I suspect that this dialogue style was carried over from theater and radio dramas where characters were expected to describe what they were seeing. In a theater play, elements of the story are imaginary, so a character might interact with an invisible cat by saying, "Oh look, it's a cat." And it's the same with radio dramas like War of the Worlds. Everything has to be described either by the actors or a narrator to help the audience follow along. But we no longer need that type of dialogue because film is a direct visual medium. And that means that dialogue can now be more subtle. The actors can be more naturalistic, speaking in sentence fragments, or even not speaking. What they say can hint at their meaning or reveal character psychology. They don't need to state facts. They can even lie to each other and themselves. And with close-ups, a thought can be conveyed through a micro-expression or a gesture. It doesn't need to be spoken clearly and loudly so everyone in the back of the theater can hear. But since writing the old way is the norm, it's a tough tradition to break. The more Type 1 dialogue that writers experience on the screen, the more they will include it in their own writing. So in eXistenZ, the characters speak many descriptive facts at each other. And I was puzzled by that because the last two Cronenberg films I watched, Videodrome and Crimes of the Future, made decades apart, weren't in that Type 1 dialogue style. I also listened to this film's full-length Cronenberg commentary track, and he did not mention that Type 1 dialogue, so I suspect he wasn't doing it on purpose. For the specific examples of Type 1 dialogue and acting I'm talking about, I recommend looking closely at 3 scenes: the Jeep scene, the tooth scene, and the motel room scene. And those are scenes 2, 3, and 4 at the beginning of the film. From then on, the story morphs into a deeper level of surrealism, where the multiple levels of virtual reality collide and intertwine. And the film wraps up with a kind of Twilight Zone ending. It was all a game within a game within a game, but instead of letting the audience figure that out and just ending the film, Cronenberg draws it out and delivers a heavy dose of Type 1 dialogue. But since David Cronenberg can do no wrong, and he should direct every film ever made, I gave this film 5 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd. Okay, that's it for this week's Analytical Filmmaking Analysis of the Week. If you like this video, support the creation of more by joining my Patreon for $1 or $5 a month. That's patreon.com/Carl King.